It's always Gold FM for us at Golden Point, Raki Raki.
Gold FM is #1 in Lusaka.
Gold FM is Nandi's best radio station.
It's always Gold FM with us here in Singatoka.
Old is gold and Gold FM is #1 here in Lusaka.
Singatoka loves classic hits on Gold FM.
We listen to Gold FM here in Tagua.
We love Gold FM in Ba.
We've got beautiful beaches, people, and Gold FM in Raki Raki.
Lautoka loves the classic hits on Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Tonight, Rishi Ram returns to Fiji Taxi Association. Nursery developments take shape. And Komo Island reassured on elections timeline. Good evening, welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Leading news tonight, the Vodafone Fiji team will meet South Africa in the final of the Tokyo Sevens in Japan later tonight. This after the national team turned on the style to beat the series leaders New Zealand 17-12 in the semi-final. The Kiwis, who are never easy opponents, were taken to the cleaners by the Fijian outfit coached by Ben Ryan, despite being behind in the match from the start. More in sports. An 18-year-old passenger is the latest road fatality. The deceased was travelling towards Singatoka town with 3 other passengers when the 57-year-old driver failed to negotiate a bend. The vehicle collided head-on with an oncoming car at Bulu Bridge, Malevu, Queens Road. The teenager died 2 hours after the accident. The driver of the second vehicle is in the Lautoka hospital in stable condition, while all other passengers were treated for minor injuries and sent home. The 57-year-old driver is in custody at Singatoka Police Station. Rishi Ram has returned as General Secretary of the Fiji Taxi Association, 2 years after he was removed by the Executive Committee. He was elected at the FTA annual general meeting, but as Edwin Nunn reports, it wasn't smooth sailing.
Rishi Ram's nomination went unopposed, back as the General Secretary after an unceremonious removal in June 2012. However, not all members of the Fiji Taxi Association were satisfied, claiming Ram isn't eligible due to allegations against him.
He cannot contest for the election. Please read the constitution.
Excuse me, gentlemen, there is no allegation. He is a free person. There is no police report, there is no allegation.
Newly elected Association President Hafiz Khan then put his foot down, saying the election is final.
As far as I'm concerned, I've checked all the records. I don't find any irregularities in Rishi's nomination. I declare, fully declare, Rishi to be Secretary of the Taxi Association. No further discussion.
Speaking to FBC News minutes after the AGM, Ram says so far as he's concerned, there's nothing to stop him from taking on the General Secretary's post.
The investigation went across. I was interviewed, but they didn't find anything. So the officer said, okay, you can go. And then since then, nothing came from the office.
The auditor's report showed there are some grey areas in the FTA's accounts for previous years, but because there are no proper records, it's hard to make any decisive comments.
It was no easy task because we understand there is continuing police investigation, and we have been given a report to that effect, which will be looked into in the coming weeks.
Other office bearers were also elected and will serve for the next 2 years. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Qayyum says the taxi industry needs to be more transparent. Sayed Qayyum was the chief guest at the Fiji Taxi Association AGM and says a lot of issues within the industry can be solved easily if things are done right. Shireen Lata reports.
The Attorney General says one of the issues the government is grappling with is the lack of a criteria for issuing taxi licenses and taxi-based permits.
If you're applying for a taxi base in a municipal council, you need to know what are the specific requirements. And those requirements need to be transparent. And this, as you know, is the hallmark of the Bainimarama government.
A nationwide consultation is being carried out on the MENA and other areas of public service transportation. Ayah Syed Khayyum says some of the concerns they have come across focus on the manner in which taxi permits have been issued by Land Transport Authority and how base permits were issued by the municipal councils.
Taxi driver, obviously, he's been driving taxis for 20 years. And he said, I've been applying for a taxi license for the past 15 years. But every time I don't get it. And he said, there are people, in his words, there are people who are richer than me who applied 6 months ago or 2 years ago and they've already got a taxi license. So he said it would appear that the poor guy does not get the taxi license. So the reason why all these people are making these comments is because there is no clear, transparent processes as to on what basis should taxi licenses be given.
He urged the taxi industry stakeholders to come up with ideas on how to improve the taxi industry and how to chart a transparent and a fair system.
Some of the smaller towns where everybody operates as a single operator. But in that same town, others have got together and formed a cooperative. So you have one single number that you call and you get first cab off the rank. So you next in line, you get that job. So you need to start thinking along those lines too.
Syed Khayyum says all these issues, feedback and ideas will be drafted in a report which will be submitted to the Prime Minister following the consultations in Lambasa and Levuka. Sharin Lata, FBC News.
After months of delays, work on relocating the Nosori market and bus stand is now underway. Nosori Town Special Administrator Napoleon Masirewa says the project is still in its early stages, but they are glad things are moving forward. Sharin Lata reports.
The project was held up since last year due to delays in processing documents, but the town council's been able to overcome that hurdle.
2 weeks ago, they've done the pouring of the concrete into the foundations. And so they've started work. About 3 weeks, Rugby Construction were working in their yard, putting together the framework. But now they've actually started work.
The Nosori market, which caters for vendors and people from the province of Rewa, Tailevu and Naita City, isn't big enough. With thousands of people travelling into Nosori, even the bus stand is bursting at the seams. These two new sites can't be ready soon enough, easing traffic congestion and providing a clean, safe environment for market vendors.
It's going to stimulate economic development in the town. You know, there's a space allowed for both the vendors, the poor vendors, about 70% of the space, and 30% of it is allowed for the commercial tenancies.
The town council has taken a $6 million loan from the Fiji Development Bank, in addition to $3 million from the government. Masirewa says there are still some issues to sort out.
It's beside a creek, and that creek tends to flood. Like this last flooding, it flooded, and it can weaken the base in which the land sits, because it's right there. So those issues are being looked into by the engineers. But it's okay. I mean, it's not something, it's what they normally do.
The council is looking for interested parties to take up space that will be left at the Nosori bus stand and market area from March next year. The new bus stand and market are scheduled to open by the end of February 2015. Sharin Lata, FBC News.
After the break, local pilot invests into tourism industry.
Old Town Tower में it's only Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM is hot.
ताकि हर घर में खाली मिर्ची FM बजे. मिर्ची FM is hot.
Best sound, best music, Mirchi FM rocks and records.
Nani का #1 station है Mirchi FM.
Mirchi FM is hot.
Mirchi FM it's #1 in Nosori.
Mirchi FM is hot. हम लोग मिर्ची FM रोज सुनता है. मिर्ची FM जागो मामा.
Mirchi FM it's hot.
देश की धड़कन रेडियो PG2 is #1 in Singatoka.
मैं लंबासा के निवासी, मेरा नाम प्रेम चंद्रा है। देश की धड़कन रेडियो PG2 को मेरा सलाम।
नेंदी में देश की धड़कन रेडियो PG2। रेडियो फिजी 2 में देश की धड़कन मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है।
रेडियो फिजी 2 is number 1 in Singapore.
नैनी में मेरा धड़कन है रेडियो फिजी 2।
हम ननुपुर की किरी रहता है और हम रेडियो फिजी 2 हरदम सुनता है।
हमें रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनो बहुत अच्छा लगे। आप भी रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनो।
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फिजी 2।
Welcome back to FBC News. Prime Minister Varange Bainimarama has assured people of Lao that an elections awareness team will visit soon to go through the polling guidelines. Bainimarama was on Komo Island when he was asked about elections and when he will be forming a political party. Apisalame Doka reports.
On Komo Island, the Prime Minister confirmed the writ of elections will be released by the President Ratu Epeli Nelatikau.
60 days before elections in September, His Excellency, the President will make an announcement on the election date and registration will also be put to a stop. 2 weeks before elections, no candidate will be allowed to campaign.
The electoral regulations decree is expected to be released in a matter of days. Varange Bainimarama says the policies will maintain fair elections.
During elections, no candidate will be allowed to wear his or her party uniform at any polling station. We will want a clean and fair elections. Nothing will be allowed at the polling stations that can bring about vote buying.
While on a visit to Komo Island School, the Prime Minister was so moved by the songs by the students that he made his delegation form a choir for a friendly competition.
Where the bullets go whistling by, you'll find the Fiji battalion fighting by your side. 3 cheers for the red, white and blue, red, white and blue.
The Prime Minister has confirmed that all counting of votes will be carried out straight after people have cast their votes at each polling stations. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
A pilot turned hotelier Nitin Hiralal is the director of Grand Melanesian Hotel in Nandi. He says all the confidence in Fiji tourism and the economy as a whole is not misplaced, and it's the right time to give back to the country. Akusita Tale has more.
Nitin Hiralal flies A330s for Fiji Airways. He's been flying the skies for nearly 34 years. Getting involved in the tourism industry was his late father's wish, and in October 2012, Nitin seized his chance and bought the Grand Melanesian Hotel from the Hexagon Group.
Being a pilot, I've stayed in hotels all my life. So basically, when you're traveling and you're staying in hotels all your life, you have some idea of what you want. And my aim is what I demanded from the hotels where I stayed. I want to give that back to the tourism industry and the locals so they appreciate a good standard and good service.
Nitin grew up in Turak, Suva and credits his achievements to the government's reforms and policies. He says the low tax rates is a big relief for someone who runs a family business and contributes to economic growth.
It's a tax rate. It's quite low if you look at the whole of the Pacific. 20% tax rate for at the corporate rate is very low, and it enhances the ability of the business to survive. And I think if we didn't have that tax rate structure, doing a business like this would be more difficult.
He's encouraging local businesses to tap into concessions offered because the added investment will benefit the whole of Fiji at the end of the day.
We hope there's continuity with the elections coming up. We need to see some continuity in the business philosophy, in the tax rates and those sort of structures. And if we continue like this, Fiji has a very bright future.
Nitins invested more than $4.6 million in the Grand Melanesian Hotel and plans to redevelop the 149-room facility. The hotel is also supplemented with its own Zyka restaurant, catering for locals and tourists alike. Ako si Tatalay, FBC News.
Coming up in sports, sporting bodies reminded to give chance to all. And Nandi goalie wins award.
Today FM is awesome in Ba. We love you, Today FM.
Today FM rocks in the story, and I love listening to Today FM.
Today FM is #1 in Tailem.
Today FM rocks in Lotaka. Woohoo!
Today FM is the most popular station in Nasinu.
We love everything about Today FM here at Golden Point Reki Reki.
Everybody in Singatoka loves Today.
Today FM rocks in Ba.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Bulan 2 Cyber Tolu FM and number 2 Raki-Raki.
Bula FM number 2 in Nosor. Go etabo ke bota kola sa Bula FM nga.
Bula FM number 2 Korbu.
Bula FM number 2 Sawa.
Bula FM number 2 Lotoka. Bula.
Number 2 ng Bula FM member.
Bula FM
Number 2 NSR in Singapore.
Lo tali tak da warong ng Bula FM lo toka.
Ali akar warong Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Welcome to FBC Sports. As mentioned earlier, the Vodafone Fiji Sevens team will meet South Africa in the Tokyo Sevens final. In the Cup quarter-final earlier today, Ben Ryan's men beat Kenya 43-19. The side had to once again dig deep, and it was towering forward Pio Tuwai who stood out.
Very important stage, crucial stage, because we are like 20 points behind the two leaders. We need to win this tournament in order to keep our terrorists alive.
Meanwhile, the side departs for Japan tomorrow for the Hong Kong Sevens. The pools of the Hong Kong tournament will be drawn later tonight. National sporting organizations came together yesterday to discuss ways to move Fijian sports forward. Minister of Sports Viliame Nopoto has reminded all sporting bodies in the country that while winning is always secondary, emphasis should be given to all across the board. Indra Singh has more.
Elite athletes have long been the focal point for all sporting bodies, but the Fijian government says it's time the mindset changes.
And you would reward first, second, third, or gold, bronze and silver from the bottom. And when they're young kids, and even right up to national level, you will still reward just 3. Now, are we encouraging participation, or are we just looking for elite athletes when we do that?
Too often in the past, the building of character of young people has been used by sports as examples. But has this been really happening?
If we say that sports build characters of our young people, then sports will build the character of that young person, not because he is first, second or third, but because he is part of the sports.
The Fiji Sports Commission, which has been tasked with helping the sporting bodies in the country, says there is a need to help Fijian sports to realize its full potential.
You know, we have achieved a lot in the past year, and we're quite proud of what the Commission has achieved. We've made a lot of friends. I hope we haven't made many enemies. But in that time, we have also set up our 5-year strategic plan, and the ministers approved that.
It's time for stakeholders to ensure that sports is for all. And this starts with giving the very best athletes what they need, but at the same time giving everyone else a chance to prove themselves. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Fiji and Nandi team goalkeeper Beniamino Matainangara was last night named Fiji Football Association 2013 Player of the Year. Nandi also scooped most of the other awards, as well as with mentor Kamal Swami named the Coach of the Year. And striker Rusiati Matararenga was the Popular Footballer of the Year. Impressive midfielder Munit Krishna took out the Fair Play Award. Ba won the Team of the Year, while its president Rishi Kumar was the Administrator of the Year. Fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country today. A southeast wind flow prevails over much of the southwest Pacific countries. Lambasa and Ba topped the temperature chart at 33 degrees today. All other centres were also in the low 30s. Monday will bring fine conditions with a chance of afternoon or evening showers in Lambasa. Now for Tuesday, brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. Our main stories again. Rishi Ram returns to Fiji Taxi Association. Nosori developments take shape. And Komo Island reassured of elections timeline. On to our poll question. This week we ask, should Fiji rejoin the Commonwealth if given the chance? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News. Or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's news for tonight. Jackie and the team will return tomorrow. Congratulations to the Vodafone Fiji Sevens team for a cracker of a match against New Zealand. All the best in the final. I'll see you again next Saturday. For the Record is up next. Good night.
Radio Fiji One and Muirani Nondagonua.
Ando talita kana borrongo na Radio Fiji One singa toka mbole tani station ni Alumatua.
Ando talita kabale una borrongo na Radio Fiji One station ni Alumatua ilo toka.
Ando talita kabale una borrongo na Radio Fiji One mandi na station ni Alumatua.
Au tungo korbo ando borrongo leva na station ni Alumatua na Radio Fiji One.
Ando borrongo na Radio Fiji One na station ni Alumatua na mandoi tele.